Let's bring in Turron Davenport from the USA Today. Eagles Wire as the Eagles continuing practice to get ready for Miami, but really a lot of roster battles to kind of break down here. And Turron, welcome back, man. How you been?
Hey, I've been well, here at the facility. So I'm in my football heaven, man. How you guys
Home
doing?
away from home, right? We're doing
That's
good,
it.
and there's a lot of interesting things going on. I thought Peterson today was kind of interesting. There's been some whispers about Blunt, whether he's been in shape, whether he's going to make the team. Today, Peterson kind of put to rest all of that. He's a big part of the offense. He's a beast. And then yesterday, you had Frank Reich really tooting the horn of Wendell Smallwood here. So I think the running back situation is still pretty unclear, but how do you break it down with 2 games left in the preseason?
Well, I look at it pretty much the same as it was going into the season, into training camp, rather. I'm glad Peterson came out and put the stuff to rest because I think it's foolishness. I mean, if you watch a lot of the runs that Blunt did not have success on, it wasn't because of Blunt. It was because there were 4 or 5 guys in the backfield. I don't care if Marcus Dupree, Herschel Walker, any one of them, Archie Griffin, any of them could have had the football at that time, and they would not have been able to do anything. So I think we just tend to get a little carried away and caught up in the moment, and there really isn't any truth to LeGarrette Blount being on the trading block, not trading block, but on the chopping block. And the same thing with Smallwood. I think they're in good shape there. But I think we're also a little caught up in the moment with Corey, Bo Jackson / Eric Dickerson / Walter Payton Clement. I mean, listen, Clement he's showing that he can run the football, but I mean, I don't really see all of this. Oh, they should keep him over Pumphrey, Smallwood kind of talk. I don't see any reason for that.
How many running backs make this roster?
I say 4 running backs: LeGarrette Blount, Wendell Smallwood, of course, Darren Sproles, and Donnell Pumphrey. That's how I look at it.
So Clement probably practice squad. They try to sneak him through there?
I don't think it's a matter of trying to sneak him. I think they put him on the practice squad. Let's not forget, this is the same guy who nobody drafted. And I'm not here to knock Corey Clement because I've been impressed by him. But we're seeing that in practice. We're about the only people seeing it. The Giants aren't watching the practice. Other teams aren't watching this practice, so they don't know what Corey Clement is doing in practice. And let's face it, in games, he had one good run, but outside of that, what really has he done to say, oh, there's no way he's going to pass through waivers?
Turron Davenport's with us. Turron, what are your thoughts? I was asking Mike about the offensive line before you came on with us. Have you been disappointed in the offensive line so far?
I haven't necessarily been disappointed because, to be honest with you, they haven't been like a full unit. I mean, you haven't really seen them really play together. Yeah, I mean, you look at the Packers game, they played a series and they scored on that series. But I haven't been disappointed, so to speak. But I will say it's a bit frustrating watching Blount, run those stretch plays and run the outside zone rather. And him not getting the opportunity to use the vision that he has to cut back. So that would be the only disappointment if I had to point at anything. But, I mean, even in that situation, you didn't have Jason Peters. They weren't full tilt on that one either.
Do you have a problem, or why do you think they're calling the outside stretch plays for Blount? Is the Chip Kelly play calling back?
No. Honestly, I pulled Blount aside after practice today, and I really wanted to talk to him about it because I think there's a misconception that big backs can't run the ball outside. And, in fact, when you watch Blount, when I watch him, he reminds me a lot of Natron Means in that, he's a bigger guy, but he has good footwork and vision. So I like seeing him run those outside zone plays because I think, personally, he could use his vision and his footwork to find that cutback lane and get upfield. So you get the defense flowing one direction and he cuts it back. I think it's an opportunity for them to get extra yards. They're not really doing that as their staple to their running game. They're just trying to look at other things, and I think it's good to do that because you can't have someone to where, okay, he's in the game, we know they're running between the tackles. Don't even bother. You don't have to worry about outside contain. We could just crash in because they're running between the tackles. And I think it's good that Peterson is doing that.
I'm talking with Ron Davenport from the USA Today at @Davenport_NFL on Twitter. Give us your thoughts now on this wide receiving core with Jordan Matthews out the door. How does the play time kind of shake up?
Yeah, I mean, you hate to see a guy like Jordan leave because he's a great man in the locker room, and he's also a reliable weapon for Carson Wentz in the middle of the field from the slot. So the way it shakes out, honestly, I think they get a little more explosive, to be frank with you, because you're going to see Aguilar in the slot more, which gives them a better option as far as stretching the field. Aguilar has better straight line speed and quickness, so he's more of a deep threat, but he's also a guy that can get you those yards after the catch. He just has to catch the ball consistently, which is starting to happen. Now, when you move on from Aguilar, you look at some of the other guys that could work in the slot. You could work Mac Hollins in there, but I think the one that you're really going to see more in the slot, and they're not showing it now, but when they start to move a guy across the formation to get those matchups, Alshon Jeffrey is going to play the slot. He excelled in the slot back when he was with Mike Groh and Jay Cutler in 14 and 15. So he's another guy that will give you that big body. You'll see guys like Trey Burton. You'll see Zach Ertz flex, and they'll work the middle of the field also to get that big body in there, the big target for Wentz like Matthews provided. And then here's another reason why I think Donnell Pumphrey is on the roster, because they're using him a lot more in the slot. And you're not really seeing everything from Pumphrey. He's still recovering from a hamstring injury. He told me today that he's 100%. But he's still recovering, right? So when you look at that, he's trying to get used to running routes and understanding coverages and reading them on the fly so he can play fast. But he's also going to be an option. So they're going to have different looks. And they like that pony package where they have Sproles and Pumphrey on the field at the same time. They'll motion Pumphrey outside, and that'll make the linebacker walk outside. So now you got Pumphrey and a linebacker in space. That's a mismatch. So you'll see different ways that they use Pumphrey and some of the tight ends, as well as, like I said, Alshon and Aguilar primarily in the slot.
Hey, where's Shelton Gibson now on this? I know he got off to a slow start, but do you put him in this mix at all?
Yeah, Shelton Gibson is in the mix on the outside. He and Bryce Treggs, Marcus Johnson. Going to be interesting to see how that shakes out because all of them have flashed at times. I'll say this about Shelton, and I have always said that the kid could play football. He's a really good receiver, but he just needed to settle in, and he started to do that. I mean, I talk to Shelton every day I'm here, and I see him getting more and more comfortable and confident in himself, and he's a guy that initially coming here, he ran 3 or 4 routes. He's asked to run the whole route tree, and I tell you what, I've been impressed not with his ability to run the deep routes, more with his ability to sell that deep route, break down and work his way back to the quarterback on curls and comebacks, and that's what you're seeing, and in doing that, he's catching the football well also. And as he continues to catch the football, he gets more and more confident. And you could always tell when a receiver is getting more confident because you're not seeing them catch the ball with the numbers, with their chest. You don't hear that big thump when he catches the ball anymore. Now you hear just a silent noise as it hits his hands, and he looks into the chuck and he turns upfield. So Shelton is coming along. He's making plays. He drew the pass interference against the Bills last week, and I think you're going to continue to see him work from the outside. And it's going to be tough, man, who makes that roster, the last 2 receiver spots out of those 3 guys.
Ron Davenport's with us. How much better does Darby make the defense in your mind, Turron? Because there's a little sample size so far to look at, but have you seen enough to say, whoa, this guy instantly makes them better?
Yeah, what time is this show over? Because I could talk to the end of the show about Ronald Darby. And I'll say this, though, just to keep it simple. He gives them the ability to do so much different as far as their coverages, and then he will help the pass rush. And here's how he'll do both. When you have a guy like Ronald Darby that could turn and run with any receiver, you have a guy that, is working on his ball skills after practice with Brian Dawkins. This is a guy you don't have to worry about the safety helping over top. He's going to fight for the football, no matter if it's a 6'5" guy or a 5'9" guy. He's going to fight, and that's what you want. So in doing that, now you could move a safety down in the box, right? You could send Rodney McLeod. You could send Malcolm Jenkins. You could even send Malcolm Jenkins and your nickel in Aaron Grimes or Robinson or Brooks or whoever it should be. You're able to do a lot more and generate pressure. Jim Schwartz didn't blitz last year because he didn't trust his guys on the outside. I mean, I wouldn't trust Nolan Carroll and Leotis McKelvin either. But now he has guys that he could trust, and Jalen Mills is still coming along. But guess what you could do with Jalen? You could have that safety help over top. So that will allow you to do so much more because you're not handcuffed with having to have help on both sides. So There's a lot that Darby does, and sooner than later he's going to start turning that football over, and that's going to make him get to the next level as a top-notch corner.
Hey, Turron, real quick before we let you run, any gut feeling or indication on Sidney Jones?
I don't think he's going to play, to be honest with you. I'm not getting any gut feeling, but or indication, but I don't think he's going to play. I really don't. But we'll see what happens.
All right, Turron Davenport, USA Today, at @Davenport_NFL. A lot of Eagles tweets from today at practice.
I was
and,
watching
of course, getting ready for Thursday night, the final dress rehearsal for the Eagles right here on 97.3. Thanks, bud.
Yes, sir. You got it.